Sorry, trying to get this on. See, that's backwards. Hang on, Chrissy. I'll get this done in a minute. There we go. Can you see me? Hold on just a second. Good morning. Hey, Chrissy, can you see me? Let me know. Okay, I had to replace my phone, so I'm having some phone difficulties. So if you could give me yay or nay if you can see me. Okay, I'm being told I'm on. Okay, I apologize for the technical difficulties. So we'll get started. I apologize. Um, so the rest of you that are watching or trying to watch, I, as I say, every problem begins with a good idea. My good idea is my phone's broken. Go get a new one. So it wasn't. I had to go press some buttons and turn my camera on. So anyway, it's a long, involved story that I'm not very good at. So apologize for the delay. Good morning. Excuse me. It's Wednesday. I'm Wayne. Welcome to Wednesdays with Wayne, brought to you by the Real Estate Business School, where you get your license and learn to use it. This is the learn to use it part. A license is just a tool, and it's of no value and no use unless you know how to use it. So what we teach is more than just how to get the license, but how to use it. What that means is there are three types of education you need to be successful in this world. One is the technical education, which is what is required to get a real estate license. The memorization of facts, figures, statistics, some math formulas, a new language, some rules and regulations, things like that. Great foundation, but I've been on hundreds of listing presentations. No one's ever asked me the difference between accretion and erosion. What my sellers want to know is, can you market, sell, negotiate on my behalf? So what the marketplace is saying to me, I don't care about your report card. I don't care about your test score. I don't care about how long it took you to take the state exam. What I want to know is, can you sell my house for top dollar and negotiate best price and terms for me and get me out of here timely? So what the marketplace is saying to me is, I expect you to have a business education. If you want to take advantage of the best part of real estate, which is buying it, then you got to have a financial education. So to me, it's technical, business, and financial education. That's what people need. That's what we teach. That's why we're a business school for realtors. Ergo, the name, the Real Estate Business School. So next time you want a business education or you want to know how to get rich in real estate and have a life, go to our website, buildmyrebusiness.com, or call us at 4530900. We'll get you started on how to get a license. Then we'll teach you how to use it. Other sponsor is Wealth Realty Investment and Development. And what that company does is we specialize in acquiring distressed low market properties, low risk, high return properties. And the other thing we do is we develop infill projects, single and multifamily in high growth areas. So those are our two sponsors for today. And before we get started, the last thing I want to do is thank you for your time. A friend of mine told me years ago, the most valuable thing anyone can give you is your time. So thank you for your time. And you have my commitment. I'll do my best to make sure your time is well spent. I'm sorry I just wasted 15 minutes of it. I'll be all right after the operation. Technology, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. How much I hate it, but how much I wish I knew more about it. You'd think turning on a phone would be pretty easy by now, but no. Anyway, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you being here. Today is the subject today is leverage, the most misunderstood word in business. I think probably the entire English language. It's a huge subject that can't totally be appreciated, or I think even covered in the short time we have together. But I'll do my best to explain it, give you some examples in the best way I think I can just demonstrate the power of it. It's causing the middle class to disappear. Leverage is causing the middle class to disappear. I've been saying this for 2 decades. Nobody listens. It's creating a two-class system, the haves and have-nots. It's causing some of the largest and most successful companies in the world to become extinct right before our very eyes. At the same time, creating overnight billionaires faster than ever before, and opportunities, more bigger, better opportunities than ever before. For those who see it, recognize it, can figure out how to take advantage of it. So we're moving from a physical to a metaphysical world. What that means is from visible to invisible. That's what's wiping people out. Humans are typically sensorial creatures. We take on information through our senses. We see it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, olfactory, right? See, hear, touch, taste, smell. Once those systems get overloaded, if we have too much information coming in, the rest comes in, but it goes in subconsciously. See, to me, to be successful, you got to understand how human beings, how we're created, how we're built, how we function. If you can understand that, then your odds of success go up exponentially. Why do you think what you think? Why do you do what you do? Why do you have the result or not that you have? And what can you do differently or better to get what you want? So I became a student of myself, Once I got divorced and then I went broke, I thought, I got to stop blaming other people. I got to go figure out what's me and fix it. So as the saying goes, for things to change, first time is change. So I've been studying and studying. I still study. I see people going to the gym all the time, working on their muscles, want to be bigger, stronger, healthier. Good, fine, me too. But they don't exercise this muscle, the one between their ears, the most powerful, important muscle you have. So to me, it's important to keep up because the world is designed to change. And humans are designed to change. But what do humans resist the most? And so to me, we're going through this period of change. It's a global transition. We're transitioning from physical to metaphysical, visible to invisible. This is what's wiping people out. They can't see what's right in front of them. And it's all due to what they were taught and when they were taught it and how they were taught it. So to me, anyway, we'll go into it. So what is leverage? Excuse me. And what can we do? Well, first of all, leverage is what Bucky Fuller calls a generalized principle. This is Bucky, or R. Buckminster Fuller. I was introduced to him in the late 80s. He wrote 25 books, traveled the world 40-something times, and has more accolades after his name than any American in history. Surprisingly few people have ever heard of him. And so I read some books about him, read his books about him, and read books that he wrote. And it shifted the way I think and perceive and act and behave and respond to things in the world. So pick up the book if you feel like doing that. But Bucky referred to a thing called the generalized principle. And he says, when scientists use the term generalized principle, what they mean is something that's true in all cases. I'm referring to leverage right now. Leverage is the generalized principle. It's true in all cases. You either understand it or you don't. You affect it or it affects you. Right? It's like gravity. Gravity is a generalized principle. I'm not going to argue with you about gravity. You don't argue with gravity. Step off the roof, you'll discover it. As you wake up in the ditch or the bottom of the canyon, you'll go, okay, gravity. Yeah, you're right. Things go to the center of the earth. The generalized principles. So what I studied is generalized principles, not fads, not trends, not the coolest, latest, greatest thing, but things that exist through time, that survive. No matter what the economy does, that doesn't matter. It's always a good time to make money. Always a good time to make money, no matter what the economy does. Doesn't matter what the economy does. What matters is what business you're in. And how fast you can adapt to change. And so this is generalized principle. Leverage simply means doing more with less. How do you move a 500-pound boulder? It's a transition, mental transition from brawn to brain. So if you're in the gym working on your muscles, you're going to go out and you don't work on your brain. You're going to go out and take this 500-pound boulder that's in your way and try to push it out the way. The ones that are working on this brain too, go get a pole called a lever and put it on the fulcrum and they move the boulder. So this is the shift. This is one simple example of leverage. Leverage. Now there are other examples, a lot of ways to do it, but they're invisible. This is the problem. People can't see it. So I'm going to go into what I see and what I think, and then you can determine for yourself if it's applicable to you. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. Either way, thank you for your time and for showing up. So this is what I see. Most people are using leverage unconsciously. They're using it, they just don't know it. So what I'm going to ask, suggest, is that once we finish the session today, and there's no way I'll do it justice in the time we have, but I'll do my best, that you learn to start applying it consciously. That you use it minute by minute, hour by hour, day after day, every day, and you'll see that your odds and your odds are going to increase, your productivity is going to go up, and your results are going to improve dramatically. So here are some examples of leverage or doing more with less to the point you do everything with nothing. Okay, let's talk about transportation. How did humans used to get from point A to point B? How do you get from one place to another? Well, first we crawled, then we became, after about 2, we started walking, then you walked everywhere. And then we discovered we could ride an animal. So we grabbed an animal and we domesticated it and we trained it and we rode animals. But you can only carry so much stuff when you're walking. But you get on a horse, you can carry a little bit more. But if you built a wagon, got the horse to pull, you could pull a little bit more. Excuse me. So there's all these iterations of doing more with lessness. It's leveraging throughout history. So then we pulled wagons, and then there was this migration from east to west, and the United States was settled. America was colonized, and then we had this migration west, and they realized they can only walk with so much. They can only put so much on a horse. So then wagons were built, and then they were covered, and they were huge. Then they built railroad tracks, and they built trains. And there's this mass migration of transportation. And then they built and had ships to get us over here. And they became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And these cruise ships today hold 6,000, 7,000 people. It's incredible. And then they built airplanes. And so there's all this ways of transportation. And then they built these cars. Then they built a freeway system. Then they went from trains to 18-wheeler trucks and vehicles. Now, most people don't even own a vehicle anymore. So we transitioned from one car garage in these older homes, then 2-car garages, now 3-car garages. Now we don't need cars at all. So now I had this new company called Uber. There's no vehicle at all needed. And now the transportation companies are looking at this. The most popular jobs in 29 states are truck drivers. The most popular jobs in 29 states are truck drivers, which we don't need anymore because now the trucks are driverless. So not only do we have Uber where you're carless, now you don't even need a driver. So you call the car, it comes to your house, you get in and go. No car, no driver, no nothing. So your transportation problem is solved. You're doing so much with nothing. All you do is get your cell phone out, tap an app, and here they come. So transportation, if you look at it, is one method of doing more with less. And that's amazing to me because I like to travel. It's just amazing to me. They complain about the airports and the lost luggage and blah, blah, blah. But it's amazing to me how I can get up at 10 a.m. and by noon I'm in Cabo San Lucas. How I can get up in the morning and that afternoon be in Europe. It's just amazing to me how efficient, incredibly efficient that our airline transportation system really is. Granted, nothing's perfect, but it's amazing to me how you can get around the world in such a short amount of time. Another way is communication. So going back in time, thousands of years, at one point, there was no language. And then we figured out how to communicate with each other. Now there's several languages. And then again, as this commercial boom started, when America was discovered and people were settling it. Then we built this communication system. So that is speaking language, and then the printing press was developed. We're printing. People were writing, where they used to have these elders in the camps, and they would pass their stories and experiences down from one generation to another. Then somebody started writing them down. Then we had books. Then we had publications. Then the West was being settled. They put up poles and ran wires and had a telegraph. Then they had a telephone. Then you got a cell phone. And now you go from snail mail, and the Pony Express was carrying letters out. Then when they built the post office, you could put a stamp on there and mail it. Now you don't even do any of that. It's all electronic. So when it comes to communication, you're doing everything with practically nothing. Look how many people you can contact simultaneously. We've got 150,000 people in the database. We hit them all at once. A few strokes on a laptop, on a keyboard, and boom. It's amazing how we're doing so much more with so much less, not just in transportation, but also in communication. Another way you can leverage is through people. So here are the thoughts that some people have that keep them poor, low productivity, facing financial ruin. These are the thoughts. Good people are hard to find. No, they're not. If it is to be, it's up to me. No, it's not. If you want it done the right way, you have to do it yourself. So this is the upbringing that people have. We're products of our environment and our educational system. When we're young, from 0 to 7, the brain was formed, the thoughts were formed, and we behave that way from then on. So what are you hearing when you hear this? You're hearing the thoughts of a poor person. Okay? So here are my thoughts. First of all, you never succeed alone. No one succeeds alone. You might see the person, the man or the woman who is a movie star or a famous musician or a surgeon or a scientist or whatever the businessman or woman, whatever the field is, they didn't get there by themselves. No one does. Okay, there might be the occasional aberration, but for the most part, it takes a team of people. So to me, it requires a team. No one succeeds alone, and you're always better off on a team. And as I like to say, if you're the smartest person on your team's in big trouble. So this is what I'm hearing. And it comes from school. So what are we taught in school? Let's go back and try to figure out, how come people have these thoughts? Why would someone say good health is hard to find? I don't have trouble finding them. The truth is, you really don't know anyone till you live with them or work with them. So we don't really know whether they're good or not till we bring them on board. Once you bring them on board and you work with them for a while, you go, well, were they just good interviewers, or can they really do the job? And what we find is, once you weed through them, you find people who can really, really not just do the job, but love doing the job and do it with excellence. And that's how you put a team together. So to me, it's a team. Business is the ultimate team sport. And all I do is I keep shuffling the players till I get the right players in the right place, do the right thing at the right time, who love their job and want to be here. And every now and then, some of them get tired of being here, and I'm like, fine, go be somewhere. If you don't be here, just say so. Be somewhere else. No one's making you. But if you're going to be here, do the job and do as good as you can. And the group we have is the best group we've ever had. And the group we have right now is the best group we've ever had, because that's what they do. We've got so few people doing more than, it's amazing what's happened. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get into this and I'll explain it to you how we did it and why we do it that way. But only the people who played sports can understand the value of being on a team. Because what the school system said, what the teachers taught me is study by yourself, take tests on your own, and they call cooperation cheating, which always confused me. I was very confused in school, because then I go out in the football field and the coach says, look, you got to learn to play together. You have to learn to communicate. You got to play as a team. Everybody talk. Everybody play together. I go back in the classroom. They go, no more cooperating. I'm like, hold on a minute. Hey, Johnny, move your elbow, okay? I can't see the answer to number 5. They call it cheating. So it's a two different worlds. And most people that I know, the ones that succeeded in class, had the hardest time in the real world. And the ones doing great in the real world had a hard time in class. They're two different worlds. So if you got to understand what you need to learn. When we're young, we're told what to learn, and when we learned it, right? You memorize the answers, you get an A. Nice boy. You haven't learned a thing. You memorize some stuff. Once you get out in the real world, you grow up, become an adult, you get to choose what you want to learn, right? And your P&L, that's your report card now. Your financial statement, your P&L, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. That's the adult version of the report card. That'll tell you how well you manage the subject. It'll tell you how well you've mastered the subject. So, what are these people who are saying these things? Good help is hard to find. If it is to be, it's up to me. And if you want it done the right way, do it yourself. What are they really doing? Well, first of all, they're blaming people, right? They're blaming other people. So let me just say this to you, if I may. When you play from the point of view that you're responsible for everything that happens in your world and you own all your outcomes, now you're playing the game of life at a very high level. And very few people want to play at that level. Very few people they want responsibility, they want to make the decision, but they don't want to own the outcome. If it goes south, don't talk to me. That's not my fault. No, 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 no. That's them, and them. So if you really want to evolve as a human, and you are, but you want to evolve upwardly, own your outcomes. Take responsibility for everything that happens in your world. When I hear someone say, good help is hard to find, you can't fail on good people, it is to be up to me, you wonder what hard to do, you got yourself. I hear some wanker who doesn't understand. And what they're saying to me is, I don't know how to get the right people. I don't know how to hire the right people and how to get them to do the right thing at the right time. So instead of owning it, they blame them. I don't do that. I don't blame the people in my organization. If they don't do something or they do something wrong, I just retrain. Something about my communication failed because I think everybody wants to do a good job. Everyone wants to be the best they can be. That's the point of view I hold. So if we come up short, don't get the result, I just go, well, what happened? How did I fail to communicate? Can we do it like this? Can we do it like that? You can't hire. You don't need to hire skills. You can train skills. What you hire is attitude. And here's what I get back. Yes, of course, absolutely. What do you want? Yes, of course, absolutely. What do you want? That's team. And no one succeeds alone. And you're always better off on a team. So that's what I hear when I hear that stuff. So it's transportation is the principle, generalized principle of leverage is being applied to transportation. We now have driverless cars that we don't even know coming to get us. Same with planes. It's coming to 18-wheelers. There's thousands of 18-wheelers out there with no driver in them crossing the country with goods. Communication, people is another way. And then another way is money. If you look at money, same thing right here. What do we do? Let's say this is the piece of real estate. Now, let's say that you've got 400,000 cash. Let's say this piece of real estate cost 400,000. What are your options? Well, one is pay cash. If you pay cash, there's no leverage in it. You haven't leveraged the deal. You pay cash, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But I like this. What if you found two of these at 400,000 and you put 200,000 down on each one and borrowed the rest from the bank? Now you're at 50% leverage. I'm okay with that. You put a tenant in there, tenant pays it back. You get the appreciation, you get the depreciation, which means there's an IRS law, rule, code that says even though the property went up in value, you can say it went down. So the land goes up, but the structure, the house itself, depreciates. It goes down in value over time. That's a tax deduction. So you get the appreciation, you get the tax deduction, you get your rent, you get the cash flow, you get the thing paid for by someone else. Easy peasy. Or you could buy 4 houses at 400 apiece and put 100 down on each one of them. It just depends on how comfortable you are with leverage. So you could buy one house or you could buy four houses with the same $400,000. So it depends on your comfort level when it comes to being leveraged. So I know some people that they get leveraged, they're at 100%. They have nothing down. They're paying retail and putting nothing into it. They're toast. The market corrects. If the market corrects, you're done. So I'm leveraged to the hilt, but it's at the wholesale level. I don't pay retail for property. I don't pay retail for real estate. I don't pay retail. Let's just stop there. I don't pay retail, period. Retail's for losers. Never pay retail. Now, that's an exaggeration. I can't say never because if I need some eggs, I'll pay retail. Ouch. They're actually getting expensive. I need to go get some chickens. That's what I need to do. I get the chicken laying, get the egg laying business. So I don't mean to exaggerate. Sometimes I pay retail. But for the most part, when I'm buying real estate, no way. That is not going to happen because that's when you get in trouble. When's your profit made? When you buy, not when you sell. So I think you're seeing a lot of flippers out there in trouble. You know, there are over 8 million people right now behind on their car payments, leveraged to the hilt. There's people making 600, 700, $800,000 a year living paycheck to paycheck. They just don't have a financial education. They don't understand this. What'd you do with my notes? Oh, wait, here they are. It's your fault. So that's money. I raise money. Here's another way to do it. Let's finish this real quick. See, the lever is here. Borrow it. The loan. It's the debt. You know, some people say, you shouldn't take on debt. There's some experts out there. Get out of debt. Well, there's good debt and there's bad debt, as we learned from Robert Kiyosaki, another one of my mentors. And this is good debt. Who pays for the house? Someone else. When's the only time you ever borrow money? When someone else pays it back. Simple. So we'll get into that later, and it's another subject for another day. I'm talking about right now is how do you acquire more property with less money? How do you use leverage in acquisition of real estate? So I would not pay retail and leverage it to the hilt. In other words, put the minimum amount down and borrow the maximum. I find that very risky. Now, as long as the markets are zooming up, great, but there's a time when they stop doing that. We all know that. The question is when. If you think you can time the market, good. This last shift happened very quickly. It went from a seller's market to a normal market. I wouldn't call it a buyer's market because it's really not, but from an overheated to a more normal market very quickly, very quickly. And so if you want to try to time that, have a great day. I'm not going to do it. I just want to be able to sleep. And that's one way you know that you're over leveraged. It's called the sleeping factor. If you can't sleep, you're probably over leveraged. So the other way I do it is when, let's say you're buying a home or a personal property. You need 2 buckets of cash, right? You need the down payment, which is X, and you need a loan, which is Y. That equals the sales price. So you got to save up for this, get this somehow, and then put it with that and go buy it from the seller. If you're doing commercial, this down payment is equity. And then you go to a bank and get the rest, which is debt. you put those two together, and that's the money that you raise to do the deal. So I go to a bank and I borrow whatever I need, and the rest I raise from individuals who want to put money in my deals. So you can get a down payment or a loan, you can get equity and debt. It's pretty much the same thing. You're raising money, putting your own in. I have some of my own in here as well, but not very much. So to me, the goal is to buy at a lowest price possible, use as little of my own money possible, and get the biggest returns possible. So when I say that I think people need a financial education, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you don't know how to do that, then you're toast. So to me, the highest form of leverage is education. So I don't mean to disparage it or badmouth education. I just don't like the education system. I don't like being force-fed old, obsolete, irrelevant information. Who does? No one I know. So if you look at the school system, this is an outdated, old, tired, dysfunctional, obsolete, irrelevant government entity that needs an overhaul. So this is a perfect example. You get teachers who don't want to teach. Nature of, especially the free enterprise system, abhors a vacuum. The free enterprise system abhors a vacuum. You don't want to teach my kids? Fine, I'll teach them myself. You know how many software programs are being developed right now to teach these kids? Parents are going to take it on. They're going to educate their kids. Now, the teachers don't want to do it. They'll find somebody else who will. They'll do it themselves. So that's the highest form of education to me, because the more you know, the more you can do with less. That's how come my productivity is so high. Okay, because I've been mistaking my way through life for decades. And that's one thing I learned is when you make a mistake, it's actually a gift from heaven. You discover something you previously didn't know. I don't learn anything when I win big. I learn when I lose big. Oh, holy moly. That was educational. We got anything left? We learned. Okay. Note to self, don't do that again. You know what I mean? But the school system used to punish me for making mistakes. You know, you get an F, yo, dumbass. I'm like, I don't think I'm dumb. Oh, yeah, it says it right here, F. Oh, boy. So I don't mean to badmouth the teachers. Most of them do work really, really hard for very little pay. So my respect, my admiration goes out to the real teachers that are out there. You losers that are hanging on the government test, y'all need to get out of there. Boot them out. So that's another way that you can leverage. The last one, and probably the most important of all, that I think a lot of people are aware of, but maybe not. Let me turn this over. It looks like this right here. So it looks like this. So it starts off like this, and I'm not quoting Einstein. I'm not pretending I understand Einstein. But what has been explained to me is that when you say E equals mc squared, it means matter, energy, is neither being created nor destroyed. What we have is what we have. They may change form. For example, you take a piece of wood, you put in a fireplace, and it burns. It changes state, it changes form, but the amount of energy we have has not been increased or decreased. That's the theory of relativity. What do we have that does increase every day? Knowledge, right? And so if you look at information and the speed of it, it's flowing like this. It's flowing like crazy. It's going so fast. And it's saying now that the amount of information we have, it doubles every 12 months. This is also, when you see this exponential growth curve, There's something very mysterious going on. It's also this. So this is Moore's law, technology. Technology is going at this speed. It takes forever and ever and ever. Compound interest, same growth curve. So please understand this. When you see this, you're seeing something very magical going on. So compound interest, technology, the speed of information, all these things are happening. And what Moore's law says, the speed of processors will double every 12 months. So they're stacking so many now on a chip that the newest technologies are so that the performance is going crazy. So we're now acceleration in this transition from physical to metaphysical, from visible to invisible, because it's going so fast, very few people can even see it anymore. So this is some statistical data I got from Eric Fry. So when I quote someone, I don't take their information and use it as my own. I quote them. I quote Kiyosaki. I quote Robert Allen. Whoever I'm quoting, I quote them because I don't plagiarize. So I just wanted to acknowledge the source of some of my information. This comes from a guy named Eric Fry who lives in Atherton, California. Did a great. You should Google his name and watch the video. Eric Fry from Atherton, California. Wall Street guy, analyst, very successful investor, very incredible thought leader. But he did this research and he wrote this article. And so if you just look right now, what's happening when you apply the principle of leverage to companies that are becoming extinct that were huge, well-known companies that most of us did business with, like Sears, JCPenney, Kmart, Macy's, Family Dollar, Dress Barn, Gap, Walgreens, Payless Shoe Stores, even Walmart's closing stores. So there's huge shrinkage. This company called Zoom has taken off. The COVID pandemic shoved us, they accelerated us in a direction we were already headed in. So the first technological advances in humanity were sharp edges, fire, and the wheel, right? And these things took tens of thousands of years to develop. It's moving very slowly on this growth curve. By 1000 AD, the technological process was faster. By the start of the 1800s, we saw more technological advances over the next century than the 9 centuries that preceded it. Please hear me on this. So today, these technical paradigm shifts occur every few years, and their overall rate of technological process is doubling every decade. So he says in the 21st century, we'll see almost 1,000 times the technological advances we saw in the previous century, 1,000 times. So whatever you're looking at, whatever you're using is probably not going to exist much longer because it keeps advancing. But it doesn't, like Moore's law, if you look at the computer chips, and if you look at this bar graph and study it, it's a little document. First year you had 2, second year you had 4, then you had 8. It goes and goes and goes. And what happens is at the very end, you get this huge jump. It's like compound interest. If you take a penny and you double it every day for 30 days, you look at what happens to compound interest. So I call it accelerating acceleration. Like the internet, it went from 20,000 to 80,000 nodes, which is the backbone of the internet, over a 2-year period in the 1980s. A decade later, it went from 20 million to 80 million nodes. Then it became front page news. In 1985, AT&T was the biggest and most powerful telephone company. They hired folks at McKinsey, the world's leading consulting firm, to predict the adoption rate of new technology called the cell phone. Well, the folks at McKinsey and AT&T predicted that they would have 900 cell phone customers by the year 2000. They were off by more than 100-fold. The actual number was 109 million. 900,000 was the guess, 109 million users. Over the last few years, for example, it took an average of about 20 years for the typical Fortune 500 company to reach a market cap of $1 billion. But in 1998, Google reached $1 billion market value in just 8 years, not 20. By 2004, Facebook became $1 billion company in just 5 years. In 2009, Uber became $1 billion company in just 3 years. In 2012, Oculus did it in under 2 years. Barron's estimates millionaires created by Bitcoin is somewhere between 20,000 and 200,000. It's accelerating. This is what I'm doing my best to tell you right now. They're doing so much more with so much less. Everything is accelerating, but not everywhere for everybody. So think about it. Whole thing happened. So Uber started in an apartment in 2009. Within 7 years, they were booking more rides than the entire U.S. taxi industry combined. The whole thing, 7 years, started in an apartment. So this is technology accelerating acceleration. Back in '64, AT&T had 750,000 employees. 750,000. 1964. In 2017, Google was richer than AT&T with 92% fewer employees. Look at Hilton Hotels. It has about 170,000 employees, which helped generate $9 billion in revenue. That's about $53,000 per employee. But tech startup Airbnb generates 5 times more money per employee than Hilton. Soon, Airbnb will make much more money than Hilton Hotels, but will most likely do it with a 90% reduction in labor. In 2012, IBM had more than 400,000 employees, but today Microsoft hires 1/3 that number and makes $50 billion more dollars. In 1989, Kodak had 145,000 employees. Today, Snapchat has about 1,800. So here's some interesting facts. Neither Motorola nor Nokia invented a smartphone, but they could have. Netflix wasn't invented by Blockbuster, but it could have been. It's replacing TV, that and YouTube. Amazon wasn't invented by Barnes & Noble. TV networks didn't come up with YouTube. Visa didn't create PayPal, and hotel chains did not come up with Airbnb. So you don't have to be part of the establishment to come up with an idea to become a millionaire or billionaire. That's my point. The new technologies typically are created by outsiders, what they call mavericks. People don't have invested interest in things being or continuing as the way they are. The world is designed to change. It's changing at high speed, like this. This is what's wiping people out. The ones who believe that hard work is the way to success. Be good, do as you're told, get good grades, get a good job, save your money. That's a recipe for financial disaster. I'll say it again. Here's a recipe for financial disaster. Make good grades, get a good job, work hard for money, and save it. Because if you save it, you lose it. Everybody knows that. There's only one way out. That's invest it. But if you don't have financial education, it gets risky. That's why people say investing is risky. No, it's risky if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it only makes perfect sense. So, what's possible in the future? Looking down the road, what do we see? What might happen? Well, first of all, no more banks. The new carbon web, you'll be able to handle your money without a bank as a middleman. You'll be able to store money safely and send it to anyone you want, wherever you want, in just seconds. No more accountants. You won't need to charge someone to do your taxes anymore. They will finally be as easy as filling out a postcard. No more lawyers. Not that lawyers are bad people, but I think we can agree they charge too much money for things we could do ourselves. And with the carbon web, you won't need a lawyer to set up a contract anymore, or a will, or settle a dispute with a company. No more realtors or escrows. Buying and selling a house will be as easy as negotiating the price and sending the money. Registering the land title and getting a mortgage will be as easy as sending a simple email. Cheaper health care. With drug prices skyrocketing, this could finally offer some relief, and it offers a solution to the dangerous widespread opioid epidemic. In fact, pharma giant Merck is already testing a carbon web-based system that prevents prescription drugs from being traded illegally. Safer neighborhoods. With this technology, with the new technologies to bring property rights back to America, you can turn your car, home, and computer into a digital fortress. Any attempt to steal it will result in prison for the thief. Everything will be cheaper. Why is Amazon winning the game in profits? They save a ton of money on storage and waste by only buying and shipping what people order. Logistics is a global $8.2 trillion market, and the carbon web will make it even more profitable. Expect these things to show up in your wallet and your brokerage account. School teachers refusing to go to work and do their jobs. Some jobs are still being done that are not needed to be done, but not education. That's a job that needs to be done. If you go to your employer and tell them you quit because you don't want to do the job anymore, what will the employer do? Find someone who wants the job. When teachers tell parents or employers they're not going to do their jobs anymore, i.e. teach their children, what are parents going to do? Like I said, they're going to go find another way to do it. So the old group of teachers, and the old group is the teachers. The new group is software engineers. They're being replaced, and they're teaching. And look how far behind America's school children are in STEM, science, technology, education. And then teachers have this. So here's the problem. The teachers in the union. Unions want to work less and get paid more. It's the opposite of leverage. Leverage, more with less. Unions, less with more. That's the biggest problem. NEA, National Education Association. So teachers are making themselves obsolete. So as I said before, talking isn't teaching and listening and learning. And the product, employees can't get jobs. So that whole industry is being disrupted. And the way we're teaching our kids is going to change dramatically. And I think what happened was you saw it during the COVID era. Parents were, for once, via Zoom calls, seeing and hearing what teachers were telling their children and objected. That's what we don't want our children. We want them to be learning science, technology, and math, not critical race theory. So there was a huge upheaval that's going on right now. So, leverage. Generalized principle, doing more with less. How will you use it? Transportation, communication, people, money, technology. As I said before, it doesn't matter what the economy does. What matters is what business you're in. So what are some personal examples I can share with you? How have we used it recently? Well, there's an old saying, you can't manage what you don't measure. So we measure stats. I look at the statistical data coming to me. And what I see is that in 2005, we bought a big building. By 10 years later, 15 years later, the ratio of people taking online classes had grown, and the amount of people taking, did I say it right? The people taking online classes had grown, and the ones taking live classes had shrunk. Why do I need a building? So I sold the two buildings. I had two buildings in Central Austin, sold them both. Made a commitment to online, let go of 25 instructors, 5 in product development, a lot of repetitive tasks, modernized, built software, bought software, and committed to the online building, the online delivery. About 90% of our courses are online. We've still got some that are taught using experiential learning. We haven't figured out how to take an experience and put it online. If you want to pass an exam You can do that from a book. Some things you can still learn from a book, and passing an exam, you can learn and study from an exam. We've got some real very robust interactive platform. We've got animations. We've got recorded classes. We've got everything you can do to make the class come alive without having to be in class, and we do that better than anybody right now. Um, but sometimes we learn from experience. It's the old saying, right? Experience is the best teacher. And so if you learn from experience, how do you create experience in an online environment? Well, we haven't figured that out yet. We don't know. So 10% of our courses are still live because they're taught using simulated business games and activities. Other than that, it's online. So next thing you know, we sold all the buildings in mid 2019, 2020, COVID hits. We give everybody a VoIP phone, and no one's been back in the office since March of 2020. And so we've got fewer people doing more, better work. We've got fewer instructors. We've got smaller space. Um, we're moving into other states. We've got other income streams. We're building 2 other technology platforms. Well, again, technology we use, people we use, systems we use, um, and then we use other people's money. We have some beautiful real estate developments out here in Lake Wade. They're doing quite well. And we do, as I said earlier, these infill projects in high growth area where there's a shortage of housing, and we fill that need. And the need's high. And so that's how we mitigate risk, and that's how we apply the principles of leverage to as many areas as we can: communication, transportation, people, money, product, technology, systems. So my question is, what, if anything, did you learn today? Hopefully this was helpful. Um, it's a huge subject, but I think if you'll start I read business magazines, and if you want the list, email me. I'll email you what I read. And I watch CNBC mainly because it's a business show. They're not Republicans, they're not Democrats, they're not independents, they're not libertarians. There's no political bend or slant to the news. It's just news. It's news about companies. They're interviewing corporate executives and entrepreneurs and businesswomen and businessmen who are out there doing things, making things happen. And it's one of the best educational programs in terms of business that I can find on a broadcast system. So, and then I read the usual customary, but if you want the list, I'll send it to you. But I think if you do that, what happens is you can start to learn and see and spot trends, and you can see windows of opportunity. Because I think this method of giving 30, 40, 50 years of your life to a company and then giving you a goal watch and a pension plan are over. The pension plans are underwater. Those people are lucky. If you're on a pension, you'll be lucky to get paid because they're underwater. The PBGC, Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, they admit that they're done. They're toast. And so what used to be risky, starting your own business, and used to be safe, getting a good job and getting a pension, have changed. It's now riskier to get a good job because the world has changed, and there's no longer any such thing as a safe, secure job because it's changing too fast. And now starting a business, what used to be considered risky, is now considered safe and the best route to go. The thing is, you need a business education, and that also requires a financial education. So that's what we teach. That's why we teach it. So thank you for your time today. I hope you found it well spent. Again, this is the Real Estate Business School and Wealth Realty Investment and Development, where 1, you get your license and learn to use it, and 2, you invest your money and get paid back. So thank you for your time. Again, this is Wednesdays with Wayne. This is Wednesday, I'm Wayne. Thank you for showing up. Remember, you were born a genius and meant to be an incredible success. So let's go out and make it a better world. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you for your time. Bye. Bye bye.